The Sports Mix with Steve Smith on Mix 93.8.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to have Mr. Tony Harding on the line. And this evening we're going to be talking cycling and more specifically cycling development and the development of a very, very exciting team. Tony, good evening.
Good evening, Steve.
How are you doing?
All good, thank you. It's always good to get some coverage on the radio and media. So yeah, I'm doing great.
I think it's a deserved cause, to be honest. And let me start by saying I love the story. I mean, ProTouch and ProTouch Sports. I think let me hand over to you. Who are ProTouch? Obviously, a team that commenced in 2016. We're talking cycling, and currently one of the top ranked teams in South Africa. Where did ProTouch? Where did it all begin?
Well, it began many years ago, Steve, when I was involved with other smaller teams that I built up, and then worked with the national team for a couple of years, and I got us to the number one nation in Africa. And then I took a little bit of a break from cycling for a while, and I just actually had a look around, and there's so many young guys with so much talent and potential in this country, and there's not really anyone. There's lots of people guiding them. There's lots of guys with passion that are doing a wonderful job in cycling.
Right.
But you need to get these guys to that next level. We need to get them over to Europe. We need to get the next Daryl Impies, Robbie Hunters, Louis Mankies.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And that's where ProTouch came about, to start identifying some of this talent and to hopefully help it, nurture it, and push it in the direction of Europe.
Got you. Now, for our listeners that don't know, Tony, you've acted as team manager for both Olympic and Commonwealth Games, as well as numerous World Championships. So your experience is absolutely second to none. I'm devastated, to be perfectly honest, to say one of the biggest challenges that face our kind of up and coming top athletes with regards to cycling is a lack of funding. Is it fair to say that, and a lack of support from a financial point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. Funding is a huge problem for a lot of athletes, and having been part of those Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games, it's not only the cyclists, but obviously cycling is my passion, but there's a lot of other athletes out there in many different sports that do battle with funding. But talking cycling specific, yeah, it's a major problem for us. At the moment, there are some issues within the cycling bodies that control the sport in the country. When a team is selected, you're representing your country, you have to fund yourself, and whatever those issues are, ProTouch can't stand back and wait for somebody else to fix the problem.
Absolutely.
We come up with our own solutions, and we're saying, guys, let's create a Support SA Talent. You were speaking about the number one team in the country at the moment. That is through our Support SA Talent leaderboard, where we take various races and tours into account, and we try and create funding through that vehicle to then give these kids the chance, when they are selected to go and represent their country, that it's not all coming out of their pocket or mom and dad's pocket or whoever else's pocket.
Absolutely. And let me ask you, the team itself, the ProTouch team, is it a set number of riders who kind of find themselves without teams? Is that, again, the right way to describe it? I find it absolutely staggering, that these top athletes really are struggling to get out there, and that potentially South Africa is not considered the top competing cycling nation on the African continent.
Well, we have all the talent here. We have all the talent. Our biggest problem is you get various age categories, and when you get to the end of your junior year, the following year you're an under 23, you're 18 years old, there's not a lot of the established teams that are going to pick you up as a first-year rider.
Yes.
Number one, they have sponsors in place. They have to provide results for these sponsors. So now they don't want to take a kid, a total greenhorn, and try and groom this kid and spend 2 years grooming him before they get results out of him.
Got you.
So they're under pressure from their sponsors to gain those results, so that I understand. What ProTouch has done, I've gone for the last 2 years and I've selected a first and second year junior. So in other words, a 16, 17-year-old. I've let the 16-year-old help the 17-year-old win the national championships in 2017. This year I took the guy who was the 16-year-old last year, and I brought a 16-year-old in to help him, as he is now 17, and we won the national championships again.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stepping stone. I've then sent Ricardo, my 17-year-old SA champ, over to Ireland. He's become the first South African cyclist ever to win the Junior Tour of Ireland in the last couple of weeks. So, these are the stepping stones and the doors we're trying to open for kids.
And it's a wide variety of sponsors, we can call it that. How the conversation began was Mix FM did an outside broadcast with Doppio Zero early on in the week, and it was mentioned that Doppio Zero help in a certain capacity with the ProTouch team, and that's really how I got in touch with you and your team. So, to potential sponsors out there, what are we looking for? Is it just financial?
Well, Steve, it doesn't only have to be financial. And if I may say, Doppio Zero, the nicest coffee in the world. I love my coffee, and they really, really make a good cuppa. So, it's not only, we'll do activations, for example, in an area where there are a lot of cyclists trying to support SA talent, trying to promote ProTouch, trying to promote our sponsors.
Fantastic.
Doppio Zero will come on board and they'll provide free coffee for everybody who comes past us that day and has time to sit and listen to our story that we tell.
Yeah.
We maybe tell that story 500 times, 1,000 times in a day.
Yeah.
But, Doppio Zero just makes life a bit easier. It's almost that catch for us. Hey, guys, have a great cup of coffee. And there's not a lot of cyclists I know that don't enjoy a good cup of coffee.
Amen.
So, we have other guys who come on board with their product, Spidertech. That helps when you're taping up your legs, keep your muscles in a certain tension.
Yeah.
When you have a slight injury, making sure that you strap it properly. These are product sponsors, but all of that then relates to finances. So Spidertech then puts in money as well, which allows us to send teams overseas. So, it doesn't have to be one guy coming with a huge checkbook.
Got you.
The whole sponsorship model has changed in sport, especially in the smaller sports like cycling. It's not about, guys, give us 5 million rand and we're going to do this for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot more involved, and it's a far closer working relationship.
If I look at some of the achievements in 2018 alone, it is absolutely staggering. Sure, a win at the inaugural UCI Tour de Limpopo in April of this year, and that's really afforded the ProTouch as a team an invitation to participate in the Tour de Rwanda. Tell me more about that. It sounds brilliant.
Well, Tour de Rwanda is great. So we are diving into the deep end here, so to speak, Steve, but the Tour de Rwanda is the toughest cycling tour on the African continent. So I'm taking a predominantly ProTouch team. I do have 2 guest riders from other teams, 2 very, very high quality, very, very well talented youngsters that are coming to join us. It's a 5-man team going across, and we're basically just putting the toe in the water to see what Africa's all about. Rwanda is very tough, but it allows us next year to further our program where we're going to go visit Morocco, Tunisia, Gabon, Senegal. We're going to do all of those tours. So, this is just a stepping stone, also enabling my guys to gauge where they are so that we know what kind of work has to be done going forward to help us achieve that number 1 ranking in Africa again.
On the continent. Fantastic. I know journalists will be traveling with the team to film and photograph the story on the team's road to Rwanda. It'll be featured in November issue of the Road Bike magazine, also flighted on DSTV Supersport. That's good to hear. Of course, we here at Mix 93.8 FM will support you all we can. How do our listeners get involved, get in touch so that we can keep up to date with what's happening with the team over in Rwanda and also, upcoming events and potential sponsors out there?
So, Steve, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Team ProTouch Facebook, ProTouch Sports ZA, we have Twitter, we have a Twitter handle, ProTouch Sports, ProTouch Cycling. We have our own email addresses, any one of our names, Tony, any one of the riders' names at protouchsports.co.za. Anybody can drop a line to anyone. We like our riders to engage with public. We like to engage with the public. We like to engage with sponsors, potential sponsors. We love working with guys like yourself that give us this awesome coverage. It's really required in the sport, and it's really exciting for us.
It truly is, and supporting South African talent like this is something that we pride ourselves on. Right here on Mix. So, sure. I guess all that's left to be said is there a spot left for me, Tony, in the team?
Steve, we make space for everyone. Come along and enjoy the ride.
You've never seen me on a bike, Tony. Don't speak too soon, mate.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Listen, we wish you all the very, very best with ProTouch, and of course, what happens in Rwanda. We'll be following closely, and to all our Mix listeners, we will do our best to kind of cover and just really broadcast what the team is doing out there. Tony, thank you so much for your time and for your continued support of cycling in South Africa.
Steve, can I say that ProTouch Sports support SA Talent. We thank you guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Only a pleasure. Have a terrific rest of your evening.
Super. Thank you.
Cheers now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Sports Mix with Steve Smith on Mix 93.8.